What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Victory Monday is here once again. Another Victory Monday. Always good. Always happy to get a win. Obviously, yesterday's game wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of really great stuff coming out of it, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that later today. But before we get there, I want to discuss the big picture for a little bit. It is the first day of December. And when you get to December and you're talking about NFL football, things are starting to get really serious. So let's take a look at the NFL ESPN playoff machine. So, by the way, anybody can play with this stuff if they want to. Just go to ESPN. They have their playoff machine up. Should be easy to find. And basically, you can cook up scenarios based on how you think games will go. And in this video, we're going to address a simple question a lot of Seahawks fans have. Do the Seahawks control their own destiny? All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gone through the playoff machine and I've mostly just picked chalk. Obviously, there are going to be some games where it's really close and people are going to have a different opinion of what they think chalk is. But for the most part, I just went through, I picked the clear favorites, I picked the marginal favorites, and in games where it could go one way or the other, I just went with my gut, except, and this may end up being the case when the games are actually played anyway, I picked Seattle to win every game because the question on a lot of people's mind right now is, well, I think we all know that the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs if they win out, but to what extent do the Seahawks control their fate this season? Which basically means if they win the rest of their games this season, do they get it all? By which I mean the one seed. And that's the only seed that gets the bye week. So it's very covetable. You want the bye week for sure. So what I did was I went through and I picked the Seahawks to win every game. And then I picked the Bears to win every game. I picked the Eagles to win every game that they could win. I picked the Buccaneers to win every game that I could. I picked them to the 49ers and Rams and Packers to win every game they could. Understand that I can't pick the Niners to win every game if I'm also picking Seattle to win every game because they play each other. Same for the Rams. And here's what I came up with initially. What I initially came up with is Seattle wins all their games and gets the second seed. And the reason why they get the second seed is because of the Bears. So if the Bears win out and the Seahawks win out, the Bears win the tiebreaker. The Bears get the number one seed. Now, the Bears winning out is a tall task. That's a team that's been winning a lot of close games. They don't necessarily have the greatest defense in the world. Their quarterback, while he's good, is not accurate. There is a recipe there for some high variance. But if the Bears win out and the Seahawks win out, the Seattle Seahawks are your 2 seed, which would still be pretty good. I think most of us would still be pretty happy with that. But it's not the first seed. It's not the first round bye. And remember, this was with me giving every win I could to the other contenders in the NFC, right? Eagles, Buccaneers, Niners, Packers, Rams, and it didn't really change anything. And most of those teams, even if they did completely win out, like I think I gave Tampa Bay one loss. Even if Tampa Bay wins out, then they don't then they can't overtake Seattle if Seattle wins out. And that's what we're really trying to get to, right? If Seattle does everything in their power to get the highest seed possible, what are we talking about here? Now, let's take an upcoming, well, excuse me. No, excuse me. I messed up on that. Let's explore some other options here, right? Let's explore some other options that are potentially on the table here, right? Like, okay, so Seattle at 14-3, the Bears at 14-3. What would it take for Seattle to jump the Bears? Well, the answer is we just need the Bears to lose one game because it's just a tiebreaker. So understand that the Bears, they still play the Packers, they still play the Browns, they still play the Packers again, they still play the Niners, and they still play the, where's the last game here? Oh, the Lions in the final game of the year. So that's a lot. So is it likely that the Bears win out? Not necessarily. Now, we don't necessarily want them to lose to the Niners, but note that if they do, Seattle jumps, and it's not like San Fran catches them at that point, right? San Fran, I got them at 12-5 because we beat them in the final game, and therefore, it still works out in our favor. So understand that even a game like that, if it goes in the way of the Niners, it's not a bad outcome for the Seahawks. And same for either of their game against the Packers. Like, the Packers are obviously a playoff team in the NFC, but if the Packers beat the Bears in one of their two remaining games, it's not like the Packers are going to catch us. The Packers have already lost too many games. They've got the tie, which is also going to count against them. And by the way, if the Packers sweep the Bears, they win the division. They still don't catch Seattle because of the tie. So, yeah, that's really it. That's really it. The Eagles cannot catch up, right? The Eagles have 4 losses already. So even if you give them every win possible, which I did, right? I have them beating the Chargers. I have them beating the Raiders. I have them beating the Commanders. I have them beating the Bills, which, by the way, not a sure thing there at all. And then I have them beating the Commanders again. So I gave Philly every win possible, and it still isn't enough to catch a Seattle team that takes care of their business. And same for Tampa Bay. Even though Tampa Bay beat us, it doesn't matter because they went on that losing streak, and they're just kind of fighting to stay in the division lead at this point. It would be tough for them to catch us. We would have to drop a couple games in all likelihood. All right, so if Seattle loses a game, then obviously everything changes. And understand, it really depends on which game we lose. If we lose to the Colts, that's something that can be overcome. But if you lose to the Rams or even the Niners, things get scrambled very, very quickly. Like, we play the Rams here. If you give that game to the Rams, now it's almost impossible for you to catch the Rams because they will have swept you. So there's not much you can do about it here, right? If you don't beat the Rams, you are counting on a lot of help, right? And how much help are we talking here? You need the Lions to beat them, but that doesn't help you. That just pushes down the Rams to the 3rd seed and gives the top seed to either Green Bay or Chicago. So it's not like it's helping you. So then you need the Rams to lose to the Falcons. Like, what are we doing here? Like, is that really a realistic possibility? Or I guess they could lose to the Cardinals. So yeah, it's really, there's a lot riding on that game, but I think you already knew that. And then you have the Niners game, the final game of the year, where you can lose the 1 seed. You're still going to win the division if everything else goes normally, because you have that cushion over San Fran, because I have them at 12-5 here. But let's say the Niners beat the Bears. Now you're scrambling everything. Now the Niners are suddenly the 2nd seed, and you're down in the 5th seed. So as long as you don't completely melt down over the rest of this season, as long as you don't completely fall apart, you are almost certainly making the playoffs. In fact, it would be really hard for me to come up with a scenario where Seattle misses the playoffs. Understand that. And if you've watched this team play this year, you've seen them, if anything, play better on the road than at home. You've seen them drill through adversity without big problems. Then I think you know that getting in is that's the game. That's the ball game right there. Everything else is just a bonus. This is not a Mike Holmgren Seahawks team. This is not even a Pete Carroll Seahawks team. This is a Seahawks team that has proven time and time and time again they can go on the road and beat good teams. Because for some reason, if anything, they look better. I don't think they actually are better. I think that it's a small sample size thing, but there is something going on there that this team simply can't get away from. Now, by the way, if the one game the Seahawks lose the rest of the way is to the Colts, then obviously that hurts your overall seeding. Does not necessarily mean you won't win the division, though. You can still beat the Rams. You can still beat the Niners out. However, if the Rams beat the Lions and you lose to the Colts, as you see, if everything, even if you beat the Rams, they win the tiebreaker. So you do still need to win that game. It's just not quite as valuable as the Rams game and the Niners game. Okay, so that's what the playoff machine spits out. Wanted to go run through that real quick. So if you wanted to know, does Seattle control their destiny? The answer is almost, right? The answer is almost. If they win out, the only team that can get in their way is the Bears. But it could be. They could. Like, if the Bears win out and the Seahawks win out, Bears get the tiebreaker. And it would hurt to be a 14-win team that doesn't get the top seed. It would hurt. Especially to this Bears team that I don't think most people saw coming. But so it is. We're just going to have to hope the Bears lose at least one game the rest of the way. All right. Let me know what you think. See you guys later. Go Hawks.